Hey friend, you did it. You completed basic training, and that is super awesome because it means that you've started looking at your motives and making choices based on the motives that you chose that you want to be led by. And you've started looking at the different areas that we're going to delve into by making your Rise Up goals and what that is going to look like in the future because you've started setting some future goals and looking at the current stories that are keeping you from them and starting to turn them into truth statements. And we're going to continue doing that, but delving a little bit more deep into what these different areas look like and how we can progress in them. And so I'm going to show you a little visual that I came up with as I was writing the other day. But first I want to remind us, well, let me share my screen so you can see it better. It's not letting me, there it goes. Okay. I want to remind us what we are doing this for, right? We're trying to create a home that organically grows self-motivated learners. So we're not pushing or nagging or like using our force to make things go the way we want them to go. We're just creating an environment that naturally grows the potential that's already within our children. And we talked a little bit earlier, but I'm just going to remind you that the environment includes connection. So connection to God, to their family, to the environment, or to the people around them, so that they have that desire to serve and that fuel that um, that that thing that fuels desire and motivation is that connection. And so we want to make sure that that's strong and that we have routines and habits in place that inspire that and that keep that going. And then inspiration we talked about, that is the stories, nature, things that help them um, reach for something higher than themselves. They're starting to see that people have done great things and have been able to overcome really hard things. And that's really important because they will go through really difficult things in their life and they need to have a reservoir of stories and principles that help them see that that is something they can go through, move through, and be okay, and that they will become even better as they move through these different trials and struggles. The third one is diligence, and we talked about how family work is part of that, learning how to serve the people around them and doing things when we don't really necessarily feel like it, right? So sometimes we want to make family work fun, and I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes it just means doing it even if you don't want to. And that's part of diligence and learning how to overcome things that are hard. And we want them to have that as part of their characters. And the last one we talked about is initiative and creativity and how they need to practice taking initiative so that their whole day isn't planned for them, but that they are able to create on their own, to think about what is it that I want to do, what is it that I love, and start taking initiative into doing those things because we're not planning everything for them and they're not being told what to do with all of their time and not being distracted by devices or by things that are pulling them away, giving them some space to create. And we got to have rituals and routines and habits in place for that as well. So all of these need different home systems that help us make sure that we remember them. And so this little visual was what I was talking about. Our home, we're going to kind of start talking about it like a garden. So like I said, our job isn't to like pull on those plants and make them become what we want them to become and try to make a pear tree grow apples or whatever. We're going to just grow the environment, work on it, nurture it so that they grow into their potential and whatever that is going to be, because they each have unique gifts and talents that they're just born with and abilities and ideas that they'll have in their life. And so we got to make sure that the environment is right so that they'll grow into those things. I put on here the things we just talked about: inspiration, ability, connection, initiative, creativity, and diligence. And our Rise Up goals kind of go along with these. Of course, they all branch out into all of them, but they're kind of more specifically in these different areas. So as we wrote our Rise Up goals, we started and made our quick habits. We started sprinkling this into our environment because we just made these quick little 2 minutes habit, but we're starting 2-minute habits. But we're starting to see how we can improve in those areas and starting to do little things that help us start to grow and build that beautiful greenhouse that's going to nurture our beautiful children. And so on here, I wrote kind of where each of the little boot camps that we do, where they focus. Again, the boot camps also are more like they branch out into all of these areas also, like each one is going to help you grow all of it, but they kind of are more, we focus on a certain area so that like a magnifying glass, when it focuses on an area, it really has a lot of strength. So we're focusing on an area, but every time we focus, everything is lifted up with it. So these are all interconnected, but they're kind of focused in a certain way. And the Compass one is the next one, the next boot camp that we're going to do. And that one is kind of like the building the greenhouse itself. It doesn't necessarily focus on any one of these areas, but it makes it so that all of them work, so that we're being led. You know how when you make a greenhouse, actually I've never made one, but I've heard that you can have like a thermostat to make sure that the temperature is right and that the environment conditions are ideal. That's what we're doing here with the Compass. We're going to make sure that we're building it the right way, and that we're having the ideal temperature in there so that our family is moving forward in the best way they can. And so the Compass Boot Camp is going to help us do that in a variety of ways. So I'm going to share them with you. This just kind of goes, it's another visual of how these different boot camps give us tools, systems, and impact and ways to impact the world. And so each one has a different tool. Each one has different family systems. Sometimes it's one, sometimes it's a couple, but we start to develop these routines in our home life that inspire each of these different areas. The next one is receiving daily direction. That's what the Compass is about. So, like I said, it's like building the greenhouse. The tool that we learn in the Compass Bootcamp is a framework for receiving personal directives. So this is really, really important. If we know how to ask the right questions and how to listen and hear those answers, we will be guided as to how we can live each day. And that's really how we build the greenhouse. It's little, panel by panel, step by step, day by day, following that direction and following it again and getting better and better at hearing it, practicing hearing it and doing it and evaluating it later on. So that's the tool we're going to be learning. The family system is the inspiring morning devotional. So something that helps our kids learn to live each day with a goal in mind, with something they're practicing to build their character that day, and that inspires them to move forward and do it that way. And the ways we're going to impact is we're going to learn to solve the next problem for the people we serve. And so, of course, we can't solve their problems for them, but our job or our next step in helping them and giving them ideas or whatever that may be. So that's the way we're going to impact with the Compass. So I'm just going to share a few of the details of what this looks like and what it does for you. It'll help you identify your family's roadblocks and fears so that you and your kids can use them to reach your goals. I know that kind of sounds a little bit funny, like how do you use your fears to reach your goals? But you'll learn how those fears aren't necessarily, like sometimes we think fears are bad. They are what train our faith. And so we can use those fears and those roadblocks to help us move toward our goal instead of shying away from them or being stopped by them. We practice making the switch from fear to courage so that we can know the next step in any goal we're trying to reach. And we set up a family devotional that inspires each member of our family so that they want to do their best each day. We develop a routine of asking the right questions and getting consistent practice in getting our personal directives so we and our kids can know how to move forward daily. We just talked a little bit about that. And we also get one month of free group coaching. And that's awesome because that helps us bond, learn from each other, and keep each other accountable. It'll also help us have a daily check-in with each other so we can remember our becoming goals. And we'll go a little bit more into that later about what our goals are, but we're not making to-do lists. We're making goals that are going to help us become something so they have a purpose. They're a tool, not an end in and of themselves. We're going to have ongoing discussions about things we're reading because we're busy, so we don't always have a time to always sit together and do things, but we can just, on our own time, discuss and share the things that we're learning when we have a minute here or there so that we can stay inspired. We're going to have access to all the videos at group coaching. You don't have to log on your computer and get onto the website and get onto the video and find your lesson and all that. It'll just be on the app, so you can just log on it really quickly on your phone or wherever you are without having to dig through all of that. It'll have answers to we'll discuss answers to your individual questions about what you're learning so you can see how it applies to your unique circumstances in your life and family. Sometimes it's easy to see how some things apply to other people, but when we try to apply them to ourselves, it's a little bit harder. So we'll be able to discuss that and help you be able to do that for yourself. And we'll have discussions about your personal struggles, roadblocks, and fears so that you can overcome them. So, they're also going to be an end of boot camp graduation or book discussion so we can recognize those who graduated, discuss what we learned, and share presentations and creative projects to uplift and edify one another. And we're going to be with an incredible network of women who are on our same path and who want to journey with us, so we don't have to do it alone, which is really awesome because it can be really hard to do all of this and to try to stay accountable and to try to stay inspired when you're constantly the one that's trying to lift your family. You also need a group of women that's going to help lift you. So I hope to see you there. I'm excited for the Compass Bootcamp. I think you're going to love it, and I'm excited to get to know you better as we're doing this journey together. To get there, you just go to ourwarrioreducation.com, programs for families, and the Compass Bootcamp, and I'll also link it below. Hope that's helpful. I hope that visual was good and that it makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'm going to get back on here, and I will talk to you later.